Have you ever wondered how people can live happily in just 40 square meters in the heart of Tokyo and still smile with ease in global happiness rankings? Their secret is not in owning more, but in the art of keeping only what is just enough. MUJI, the no-logo brand from Japan, calls this enough, the very soul that transforms a tiny space into a peaceful oasis. And I tried it myself. In 4 weeks, with 3 essential steps, my 65 square meter apartment slowly became a version of that oasis without demolition, without frantic shopping, only through choice. From a battlefield of objects accumulated over the years, my living room now carries only the faint scent of pine wood and silence. Are you ready to hear that story? The first time I stepped into a MUJI store in Osaka, I froze in front of a nearly bare pinewood shelf. No logos, no flashy colors, just 3 sweaters stacked perfectly on top of each other. And in that fleeting moment, a simple truth struck me. Minimalism is not about throwing things away. It is about the courage to choose. To choose the things that truly allow your soul to exhale and whisper, "At last, I am home." The journey of MUJI began in 1980 with a plain black pen without a label. Today, they offer more than 7,000 products, yet the iron rule has never changed. If it cannot be made simpler, it will not be placed on the shelf. That very discipline has made 30 square meter apartments in Ginza feel as spacious as 60, where 3 generations can live together without ever clashing over stuff. In this video, I will share the entire journey of bringing that spirit into my own home, how to remove belongings with a set of core questions, how to organize space with the iconic white storage modules, and how to maintain order with the simple rule of 1 in, 1 out. If you have ever flinched as something fell on your head while trying to close an overstuffed closet door, then please join me. Let us begin. 1. Letting go with the basu questions. The Japanese have a beautiful word, basu. It does not mean to throw away. It means to return space to its original state, to let things go back to where they belong. It is an act of liberation, not careless disposal, but giving an object the chance to breathe, to find a new life, or simply to complete its mission with respected 9. 4 questions that my friend Tomoko taught me. One rainy afternoon in Kyoto, questions I now carry in my heart like a hymn for the living space. And today, I want to share that hymn with you. The first question, the most merciless one. Is this object truly serving me? Place your hand on the object, close your eyes, and feel. If you hesitate for more than 3 seconds, the answer is almost always no. I once stood before a rose-patterned porcelain tea set, a wedding gift that was quite expensive. It was beautiful, but its beauty terrified me. Every time I used it, my hands trembled with fear that I might break it. It did not serve me. I was the one serving my anxiety. The day I asked that question, I wrapped it carefully and gave it to my neighbor. Her radiant smile as she received it was more beautiful than any design on the cups. And I exhaled with relief. It was not a loss. It was a release for both of us. I was freed from the burden, and the tea set was freed to truly shine in another home, because an object only has value when it is being used. The second question, a test of truth. If it disappeared tonight, would I pay to buy it again tomorrow? Ask this honestly when facing 12 nearly identical pairs of black jeans sitting in your closet. 12 versions of one vague fear, the fear of having nothing to wear. But when the question echoes, the truth becomes clear. Only 2 pairs truly fit. Only 2 brought me joy. The other 10 were just backups for hesitation. I sold them, and the money was just enough to buy a full-length MUJI mirror for the hallway. That mirror did not just reflect my image, it doubled the light, stretched the depth of space, and turned a narrow corridor into an inviting path. Sometimes, letting go of quantity brings back a quality of space that money alone can never buy. The third question, for invisible burdens, does this object make me feel guilty? A treadmill, once more expensive than a month's salary, stood gathering dust in the corner for 2 years. It did not only occupy space, it occupied my mind. Every time I walked past it, it whispered bitter reminders of a promise gone cold, of a better version of myself. I never became. It was the embodiment of guilt. Until the day I sold it. 7 million dong could not compare to its original price. But I used it to buy a 3-month gym membership. For the first time in years, I went 10 sessions in a row. Guilt turned into sweat, and self-reproach dissolved into the joy of movement. Satisfying, is it not? And finally, the most encompassing question. Does this object allow the room to breathe? Imagine that your belongings also need space to speak, to exist. An empty table does not mean lack. It means you always have a place ready for a hot cup of coffee in the morning, or the book you are still reading. After this cleansing with 4 questions, my living room now holds only a beige sofa, a simple pinewood table, and a fabric lamp. The size of the room has not changed, but my gaze has. It stretches farther. My heart too, it beats slower. And strangely enough, the petty quarrels over who left things lying around disappeared on their own. Because when space is allowed to breathe, our souls begin to rest. 2. Organizing with storage modules. MUJI sells these frosted white plastic bins, almost transparent boxes. At first glance, they may look plain, even useless. But do you know, with just a little rotation, stacking, and sliding, you suddenly hold in your hands a magical set of Lego pieces for your belongings. That is the moment when organizing stops being a chore and becomes a game of spatial intelligence. And the rule of this game can be summed up in just 4 words: tall, flat, short, long. The first word is tall. Make use of vertical space. We often focus only on the surface of the floor and forget that the most precious space is floating above our heads. I once struggled with a wardrobe only 1 meter and 20 centimeters wide, until one day I added a second hanging rod, the upper tier for coats and shirts, the lower for t-shirts. And that gap in the middle, I cleverly slid in thin boxes for handkerchiefs and accessories. Even the very bottom of the closet, once only a dust collector, could now swallow an entire medium suitcase standing upright. The wardrobe did not grow larger, but its capacity increased by half, all because I taught my belongings how to stand up. The second word is flat. Keep your surfaces clear. Have you noticed that chaos in the mind often begins with clutter on the table, especially the area right by the entrance? Keys, wallets, phones, bills. Together they create a constant kind of visual noise. My solution cost only 89,000 dong for a thin MUJI tray, tucked neatly into a drawer. Each time I return home, the very first action is to drop everything into that tray and close the drawer. Click. A small but decisive sound, the wires vanish, the clutter disappears, and your brain receives a signal. All the noise has ended. Welcome home. The third word is short. Every act of retrieving an item should take less than 15 seconds. Order can only last when it is convenient. I use see-through mesh boxes for my underwear drawer. Each piece rolled like a tiny sushi, lined up in rows. Every morning, my sequence is pull, lift, close. The whole process takes just 7 seconds, not even enough time for a yawn. When you no longer have to dig through an entire drawer to find a single pair of socks, you save not only time, but also the mental energy for things that truly matter. True tidiness is not about hiding things away. It is about ensuring every object has a path back home. And the last word, long. Create depth through illusion. This is where organization touches art. My hallway is only 1 meter wide, dark and suffocating. I hung a mirror 1 meter and 80 centimeters long. Instantly, light from the living room bounced back, doubling the space. That narrow corridor suddenly became a luxurious hotel hallway. Many friends who visited asked, "How many square meters is your place?" They guessed over 80. I simply smiled and told the truth. Just 65, but arranged with intention. And to maintain all of this, I keep a small ritual 30 minutes every weekend, called the Danboru rotation boxes of off-season items. The summer box shifts left, the winter box takes its place. This ritual keeps me aware of what I own, so I never buy duplicates. And the result? My monthly expenses have dropped by 28%. I no longer purchase extra just-in-case items. Because now, I know for sure, I already have enough. 3. Sustaining with the one in, one out habit. The Japanese have a concept called kazu no kanjo, which can be roughly translated as the balance of numbers. The principle is as simple as a child's game. If you want a new toy, you must say goodbye to an old one. At first, it may sound like a way of suffocating the joy of shopping. Does it not? But just once. Try to remember the feeling of letting go of a worn-out t-shirt to welcome a brand new one, fresh with the scent of fabric. That feeling is weightless. As refreshing as a breeze, that is the very essence of kazu no kanjo. To turn this philosophy into reality, I placed a lovely wicker basket right by the entrance, and I call it the farewell basket. Any new item that comes into my home, especially clothing, must stay there for 24 hours. In that time, if I can think of an old item ready to leave and make space, only then is the new one allowed in. If not, I return it to the store. This rule works like a devoted gatekeeper, making sure my home is a place of intention, not a mindless warehouse. And the result? For 2 years, my wardrobe has not gained a single gram, yet it always feels refreshed, always keeping pace with the subtle changes in my style. But the most magical part came when I tried applying this principle to the invisible things like emotions. Because true balance does not only lie in the number of objects, but also in the number of feelings we allow into our minds. Instead of letting a complaint freely enter my mental home, I now ask it to pay a fee. Each time I'm about to grumble about the kitchen being a little too small, I stop, pick up a sticky note, and write one thing I am grateful for about that very kitchen. Thank you for giving me a cozy place to cook a hot bowl of pho for my husband. Then I place it on the fridge. When I have filled the fridge with 7 notes, if I want to add a new one, I must take down an old note, read it once more, and smile. In this way, I created an emotional balance, and something astonishing happened. Our family's self-rated happiness score rose from 8 to 8. 4 inches, just 3 months. The one in, one out principle also became a gentle lesson for the whole family. My 5-year-old daughter now understands that whenever she wants a new doll, she must choose an old teddy bear to retire, placing it into the donation box. At the end of each month, we take the box together and give it to children who need it more. She does not feel loss. Instead, she learns that giving away is another way of keeping. And I learned that minimalism is not a lonely battle, but a journey of growing together as a family. And what about you? Among the 3 steps we have walked through, which one feels easiest for you to start with? Cleansing with the Basu questions, organizing with the Danboru modules, or sustaining with the one in, one out rule? Leave me a keyword in the comments to let me know. And click like if you too have once owned 12 identical pairs of black jeans. 4. Applying it to every room. No need to knock down a single brick. No need for complicated blueprints. The magic of a happy living space sometimes lies simply in choosing the right object and placing it in the right spot. It is a quiet dialogue between you and your home, where every room becomes a chapter in the story of your own life. Let us begin with the living room, the heart of the home. I chose a sofa made of 3 separate modules. On ordinary days, it is a cozy place to read. But when friends stay over, with just a few adjustments, it transforms into a bed nearly 2 meters wide. MUJI calls the fabric color rice, a milky beige, warm enough to soothe, bright enough to avoid feeling cold. On the sofa, there are only 2 pillows, one square, one round. A delicate balance. The pine wood coffee table is only 60 centimeters in diameter, but its legs fold flat. On Saturday nights, we fold the legs, lay down a rug, and sit on the floor to play board games. In an instant, the room turns into a small stage for stories and laughter. The television is mounted directly on the wall, and the tangled wires are hidden neatly inside a white-painted bamboo tube from a hardware shop. Only 12,000 dong per meter. It looks just like an expensive built-in wiring system. Next is the kitchen, the place of nourishment. I keep exactly 4 sets of plain white porcelain dishes. When guests come, I simply stack them upside down, creating tiered platters for food displays that feel spontaneous and joyful. A small 20-centimeter cast iron pan has fully replaced the bulky air fryer. Every spice jar sits in a divided tray inside a drawer. Each time I cook, the rhythm flows. Pull out the drawer, take the exact jar I need, close the drawer again, not a single clink of jars colliding. And the plastic bags? I roll them up and tuck them into an empty tissue box. A small act of recycling that also makes grabbing a bag easier than ever. The bedroom must be a sanctuary. My bed is only 25 centimeters above the floor, an ideal height for airflow. I use just 1 set of Japanese cotton bedding, 200 thread count, soft and breathable. When winter comes, I simply add a thick duvet on top without changing the entire set. Light is essential. My bedside reading lamp has a color temperature of 2,700 kelvins, a warm golden glow, proven by science to help the body produce melatonin, easing me into a deep sleep like a gentle collapse after a long day. My wardrobe has no doors, just a 1.20 meter hanging rod with a linen curtain draped across. It looks like a decorative wall at the head of the bed. Off-season clothes are folded into flat boxes, resting quietly under the bed, no dust, no burden. Even the bathroom, barely 3 square meters, can become a mini spa. I chose a corner bathtub, 90 centimeters across, fitting just right. The wall tiles are 30 by 60 centimeters, but laid vertically with alternating seams, creating an optical illusion that stretches the space higher. All shampoo and body wash are poured into matching transparent bottles. Hand towels hang on a pinewood bar with magnetic hooks. After use, I simply unclip one and hang it to dry. Always fresh. The workspace is the realm of focus. My desk is 1.40 meters long, with no drawers. Instead, I mounted a mesh shelf beneath it. Notebooks, pens, even a small printer sit neatly on a sliding tray. When needed, I pull it out. When finished, I push it back in. The surface returns to calm emptiness. I use only one foldable LED lamp at 4,000 kelvins, with all ceiling lights turned off. Research shows that working within such a narrow beam of light reduces distractions by up to 60%. And finally, the small balcony. The floor is lined with pale wood composite panels. I grow exactly 3 pots of fresh herbs. Each morning, before the day begins, I step outside and pinch a few basil leaves for my egg sandwich. That fragrance is the most wonderful beginning. The drying rack is hidden behind a bamboo screen, keeping the facade neat and the view wide open. Because a home is not defined by its square meters, but by the experiences it allows us to cultivate. 5. Common mistakes. I have made all of these mistakes myself, so do not worry. The journey toward minimalism is not a straight line. It is a winding path filled with valuable lessons. Today, I want to open my heart about the times I stumbled, not to complain, but to light a small lantern to help you see your own path a little more clearly. The first mistake, and also the sweetest temptation, trying to buy the entire MUJI collection. When I first began, I was captivated by the harmony in their catalogs. I nearly replaced my perfectly fine dining table simply because it was not from Japan, not made of oak, not carrying the MUJI aesthetic. But then I realized I was chasing a shell, not the soul of minimalism. The spirit of MUJI is not about owning their products, but about cherishing what is just enough. Use what you already have. Only buy something new when you truly need it. And when the old one can no longer serve you. The second mistake, believing minimalism means painting everything white. I once tried that. The room turned cold, lifeless, as empty as a hospital ward. White is only beautiful when it carries the depth of texture. Minimalism is not absence. It is intentional presence. The safe rule I learned is 70-30. 70% of the space can be neutral tones, like white or beige. But the remaining 30% must belong to nature. That can be the green of a potted plant, the raw weave of a rice fiber rug, or the warm veins of natural wood. That 30% brought life back into my home. The third mistake, a classic trap, keeping items just in case I might need them someday. That someday almost never arrives. I once held on to 4 boxes of nails I had bought 5 years earlier, thinking one day I might need them to hang a shelf. But every new shelf I purchased came with its own screws. Those 4 boxes sat silently in storage, taking up space, a reminder of procrastination. Now, my rule is clear. If an item does not have a specific use within the next 3 months, I let it go. Because a living space is for the present, not a warehouse for the past, nor a waiting room for the future. And the last mistake, thinking that decluttering is a one-time job. No, minimalism is a marathon, not a sprint. In the beginning, I would pour all my energy into explosive weekend cleanups. But only days later, things would creep back. The truth is, order is nurtured through small, steady acts. Now, I spend 15 minutes each night before bed, just 15 minutes, to reset the trays in my drawers, to fold the blanket I just used, to line up the shoes at the door. These tiny actions are like drops of water, small each day, but together they fill the reservoir of peace, so that my weekends are truly for rest, not for fighting against clutter. Do you have a box of innocent nails sitting somewhere in your home? Leave a comment about one item you decide to return to space today, and I promise, I will be the very first to hit like. 6. The mental benefits. We began this journey in search of a beautiful home, but the greatest gift that minimalism brings, the true shift that changes life, is not something the eyes can see. It is ease. A beautiful home is only the starting point. A mind that feels less weary is the true destination. Did you know that our brains, even without realizing it, are constantly processing information from every object within sight? Each item is a piece of data, where it is, what it is for, whether it needs to be cleaned, whether it stirs up a memory. When a home holds thousands of things, your brain is like a computer running 1,000 background programs. It does not crash, but it drags, quietly consuming energy. When the number of possessions goes down, that invisible weight is lifted, mental energy is suddenly freed. And what will you do with all that extra energy? 3 months after truly simplifying my living space, I finished the manuscript of a book I had delayed for 4 years. Not because I had more time, but because I had more focus. My wife began baking sourdough bread, a process that requires patience and precision. Before, she used to say she only had the mental space to make a quick sandwich for a rushed breakfast. Now, she finds joy in nurturing the starter, kneading the dough, and waiting. The home is no longer just a place to live. It has become a workshop of creativity. A study from Nagoya University in Japan revealed that living in a neutral, orderly environment can reduce cortisol, the stress hormone in the blood, by 23%. I do not have a hormone monitor at home, but I do have another measure, far more practical: the length of our arguments. I began keeping notes. In the past, the average disagreement between my wife and me lasted about 18 minutes, and most of that time revolved around questions like, who misplaced the remote, or why can I not find the shirt I like? Our belongings became the excuse to blame each other. And now, the duration has dropped to only 7 minutes. Not because we suddenly love each other more, but because there is simply nothing left to blame. The keys have their place. The remote has its place. When material chaos disappears, we are forced to face our real emotions directly with more calmness, more construction, more care. When we declutter our homes, we are not just rearranging objects. We are rearranging our very lives. And at last, when everything has its place, when space breathes and the mind breathes along with it, life becomes a gentle piece of music. No more jarring notes of frustration from searching, no more heavy silences of exhaustion, only a melody of peace, where you are the conductor and your home is the loyal orchestra, always ready to play the song of simple happiness. Our journey today is not about turning your home into an empty monastery. The spirit of MUJI never asks you to live like an ascetic monk. It simply offers a gentle invitation to bravely keep what truly serves your life in the present, and to tenderly return what belongs to the burdens of the past, with just 3 small steps: cleansing with Bisu, organizing with Damboru, and balancing with the one in, one out rule. You can transform a 65 square meter space into a place that embraces you the moment you return. This journey does not demand perfection. It only asks for a beginning. Even the most humble beginning will do. Perhaps it is a single drawer, a bookshelf, or just a small corner of the kitchen. You do not need to declutter the whole world. You only need to choose one place and allow it to breathe. So today, which corner of your home will you choose to give back its space? And when you do, when you take that very first step, no matter how small, come back here and leave a comment. I begin. Let it be a quiet promise to yourself. And remember to subscribe, so we can continue walking together on this path of turning a house into more than a place to live, into a shelter and a sanctuary for the soul. A place that helps us feel lighter every single day. Thank you for listening.